Okay, so as our topic is electric current and Ohm's law. Very simple, very basic. So what is electric current? So we know current is anything that is flowing. So anything that flows from a region of higher energy to a region of lower energy, right? This is a higher energy region to a lower energy region. So whenever something flows, it's known as current, right? It can be anything. It can be water current, it can be wind current, it can be air current, whatever it is. But in this case, we are talking about electric current, which means flow of electrons. So when we are talking about, yes, right?
कहाँ पढ्दैछ त
त्यहाँ पढ्दैछ त, यहाँ त पढेको छैन।
खतरा पढेको छ
ओभर सुन्दैछ त्यहाँ त, खतरा परेको। So yeah, so flow of electrons is known as electric current, and electric current is sustained by potential difference or energy difference, potential difference. So there is a very simple example that I tell every time. So if I have two containers and one of the container, so one of the container has water till this level, and on the container has water till this level, and I'm connecting them through a pipe and a hose here. So if I open the tap here, if I open it, so water will always flow from the tank where the water is full or higher in water level than this one. So it will start flowing till the water level on both the tanks become equal. So
दा
yes,
भनेपछि मैले यस्तो भन्नु पर्यो इलेक्ट्रोन फ्लोज फ्रम हायर पोटेन्शियल टु लोवर पोटेन्शियल भन्नु पर्यो
always. So always flow happens from higher potential to lower potential. So lower potential till the potential balances, till there is zero potential difference, POTENTIAL, zero potential difference. So what is potential difference? Potential difference is potential of, let's say this is A and B. So potential of A minus potential of B, till this value becomes completely equal, the flow will continue to happen. So VA will be equal to VB. So when this thing is attained, then there will be no flow, then there will be completely stoppage of flow, there will be complete seizure of flow. Then no water particles will flow from A to B. It will be like completely stopped unless you fill water at tank A again and it starts flowing again to B. So flow of electrons is known as current. Current is sustained by potential difference. Unless there is a difference in potential, there will be no current, right? So current and potential go hand by hand. So whenever there is current, there has to be, if you want to say there is current in a system, there always has to be a potential difference. If there is no potential difference, you can't expect to have current in your system. So like for example, the wind's blowing. Why does wind blow from a colder region to a warmer region? So because there is a difference in air density, right? Difference in density of air, the heat of air, the amount of the air that is colder and air that is hotter, they have different densities. Due to the difference in densities, there is difference in energy or potential. So since there is difference in potential, there will be flow of air from one region to another, and that is known as wind, right? We call the flow of air as wind. So that is actually air current. Wind is a colloquial term used for a scientific term known as air current. So here we also have current. So current is simply the rate of flow of something. So what is flowing from a region of higher potential to a lower potential is current. So the air current, water current will depend on what is flowing. So if your electrons are flowing, it's electric current. If water is flowing, water current. Air is flowing, wind. All those things. So this is a very simple concept. So I'll not go that deeper because this thing has been done in class 10. So we know about current, right? We know about current I, and there is a new term that you need to learn in 12, that is J. It is known as current density. Current density is basically current per unit area. So I by A. Current density, it is basically ampere per meter square. So J is known as current density. Current density, that is current per unit area, right? Per unit area. This is the basic thing that we need to know. And one more thing, current is a scalar quantity. Current is a scalar quantity, right? Because it just gives you the magnitude. Like if the current is 2 ampere, you just know it is 2 ampere, right? You don't know anything else. Yes, yes, yes.
अब तर current density भन्नुभयो नि
Mm.
अब मलाई current density अब एउटा मिटर क्युबमा हुन्छ नि अब 3 डाइमेन्सन उयसमा हेरेको फाइदा हुँदैन
Current
किन
currentलाई 3 dimension मा एक्सप्रेस गर्नै सक्दैन नि त हामी. We can't express movement through a wire in 3 dimensions. So a current is like electrons are moving in this direction.
अन्त भनेपछि एउटा तारमा छ एउटा लाइन कोडिदिन्छु त्यो लाइनमा कतिवटा करेन्ट छ 1 सेकेन्डमा भनेर
त्यही हो. Yeah. So we can't consider this in 3 dimension either. So we can't consider 3 dimension motion. We are just considering 1 dimension motion, right? Or in maximum case 2 dimension motion when we have area, when we have a thick wire. So now we are considering a 2 dimensional motion of the thing, the electrons. So yeah, then that's why we consider the density to be in terms of area. This is done. This is the basic thing we need to know. Current is a scalar quantity, so SI unit of current is ampere. This should be very clear. So the value of current will just give you an idea about the magnitude, will not give you any information about the direction, right? Right? Only if you know the circuit, only if they show you the circuit like this, then you can see the direction of current. So direction of current will be opposite to the direction of electrons. So electrons will flow in this direction, so current will be in this direction, right? So direction of current will be opposite to the direction of flow of electrons. So electrons will flow from negative to positive. So electrons will flow from negative to positive, and current will flow from the opposite direction, positive to negative. So this is that. Then we have a new term that we studied actually in class 10, is known as resistance. It's very simple. Resistance is any obstruction. Resistance is any obstruction that we allow to the flow of current. So if current is being stopped by something internally in a wire or any conductor, then that is known as resistance, right? It is not an external force. It is just internal mechanisms, internal collisions that are happening inside the conductor that is preventing the flow of current, right? So resistance is nothing but the resistance to the flow, not resistance, obstruction to the flow of current. So that happens internally within a system, but can be influenced externally. So there are factors that can influence the resistance of a conductor. Those factors can be applied externally as well, right? So if you elongate a wire, if you have a thicker wire and just pull it and like extend it, so its resistance will change in some respect, right? And if you have a very thin wire and you combine it to form a thicker wire, then its resistance will change. If you apply heat to a wire when a current is flowing, then its resistance will change. So these are factors you need to know. So we already did a derivation of this in class 10, so I would not want to do it, but still I'll do a brief idea about resistance. So factors affecting resistance, we need to understand factors affecting resistance. So only two factors we need to study. First one is length and second one is area. So resistance is directly proportional to length. So whenever there is increase in length, there is increase in resistance, and inversely proportional to area. I'll tell you why. So if you have a conductor, let's say this is a conductor and this is, let's say, 5 meters long, and you have another conductor, let's say this is 3 meters long. Now the time taken by electric current, so the amount of voltage that I apply to both of these wires is exactly the same. So if I apply let's say 4 volt, and if I apply again 4 volt in the same direction, 4 volt, right? Now for an electron to go from this negative terminal and reach to the positive terminal will be will take much more time in the 5 meter wire than in the 3 meter wire, right? This can be logically concluded as well, and there is a physical phenomenon to explain this as well. So whenever a current flows inside a conductor, there are a lot of atoms inside the conductor, right? So there are a lot of atoms inside the conductor, and there are also free electrons inside the conductor. So the electrons that belongs to the conductor, right? So these electrons which carry the current, so these are the electrons that carry the current, do not have a straight and unobstructed path to reach the other side of the conductor. So it is not that case at all. It's not a smooth path, and they have always a obstruction on its route, right? So whenever an electron is traveling from one side of the terminal to other side of the conductor, right, there are a lot of atoms inside the conductor that are ready to collide with the electrons, and also the nucleus of an atom being positive will attract the electrons. So the collision of electrons is inevitable, it will always collide, right? There is very it is practically impossible to produce a system with zero resistance, right? So it is practically impossible to produce a system where the electrons will not collide with any atoms. So it will collide with atoms and free electrons inside the conductor. So this collision will make the electron's path difficult. It'll not go in a straight path. It'll has to it'll collide, it'll fall down, it'll go again in the straight path, it'll again collide. Its path as expected, what we expect it to be is a straight path, but it'll not be a straight path. It'll collide, go down, go up, all these things will happen, due to which the time taken will be a lot more, right? And obviously if we think about it, the time taken for an electron to reach from this terminal, this end of the conductor to this end, will be much more in a 5-meter wire than in a 3-meter wire, right? So whenever there is an increase in length, its resistance will also increase, right? The amount of obstruction that the electron is facing in a 5-meter long wire will be much more than the obstruction that the electron will be facing in a 3-meter wire. So resistance is directly proportional to length. And area, it is inversely proportional to area in the sense, so if I have a thick wire like this, right, if I have a thick wire and the electron is allowed to move from this terminal to this terminal. Now electron has so many paths to go to the other terminal. It can go from the path that is like here, another path that is just below it, another path that is just below it. So what happens is the electron can decide upon a path which has the least resistance, right? So electron will have the ability to decide on which path does it want to travel, so that it faces the least amount of resistance. So all of my lectures that I give about this kind of things, I say that everything in the universe, living or non-living, will always tend to take the path where least energy is consumed. So whenever least energy is being used, you tend to follow that path. So if you're very close to the market, right, and you want to and there are two possible ways for you to reach to the market. There is a straight road that leads you straight to the market, and it takes 30 minutes for you to travel to that road. And there is a shortcut of a footpath that leads you to that exact same market, same point, but it takes you 15 minutes. So obviously in like every mind that can think, right, that person will always take the footpath, right, because it's 15 minutes early. You'll reach to the market 15 minutes early, and you'll be walking 15 minutes less, which means you'll use energy for 15 minutes less. So 15 minutes of time is saved, also energy is saved. So you will not be wasting energy for the next 15 minutes that you would have done if you had taken the road. So everyone in their right mind will take the path where least energy is being consumed or wasted. So electron also has the ability to choose a path where the resistance is least. So when the area is increased, the ability of electron to choose, its choices will increase. Like it's like a multiple choice question, right? So if you have a 4-option question, you feel more comfortable than a true or false question, right? So if you have a true or false question, it'll just be true and false. But if you have a multiple choice question, you'll feel more confident about it. You'll feel more relieved about the 4 options that you have, right? It'll be very difficult to, you have a 50-50 chance. You may have like more chance of scoring the right answer, getting the right answer in a true or false question, right? In that aspect, it's not that good. But if you think about it, if you have more options, then you have more freedom to move, right? You have more freedom. The electron gets more freedom when the area is increased, excuse me. So it can move from any path it wants, the path where least energy is being used. So resistance in this sense is directly proportional to length and is inversely proportional to area. So we remove the proportionality sign and put a constant that is known as resistivity. So I don't know how, it's rho, I think, rho L by A in your book. To check it. Yeah, it is rho. This thing is known as resistivity. So if I arrange for this, I get resistivity equal to Ra divided by L. So this is the resistivity of a conductor, right? So this is the resistivity of a conductor. So there should not be any problem still here. In doubt? Any doubt?
Clear, sir.
This is all done, right? So I think one more thing you had like studied in class 10 is resistivity is a property of a material. property of material and it doesn't depend on anything. So the formula may tell you that it will depend on area and length, but actually it doesn't. It only depends upon the material you are taking. So if I take a copper wire, right? If I take a copper wire which is 0.5 meter thick and 4 meter long, and if I take another segment of the same copper wire which is 1 meter thick
द
and 8 meter long, yes,
यो रेजिस्टेन्सले ब्यालेन्स गरिदिइहाल्छ.
resistance always balance गर्छ. So if you have two wires of the same material, copper, and this is also copper. So I took this from the same material. So if my thickness is different, length is different, but if the material is same, its resistivity will always remain the same. So resistivity will always remain constant for the same material. It will only change if there is a change in the material. So if I have, so yes,
त मैले कुनै पनि मटेरियलको रेजिस्टिभिटी क्यालकुलेट गर्नु थियो भने मैले अब एउटा एक्सपेरिमेन्ट सेटअप गरेर गर्दा हुन्छ त्यतिकै आइडियल टेम्परेचरमा होइन.
हुन्छ. You just need to find the resistance.
रेजिस्टेन्स उसो गर्दा हुन्छ. तर क्लास 10 को बुकमा त उयो के भन्छ डाइइलेक्ट्रिक्सहरूको नन कन्डक्टर्सहरू पनि दिएको थियो नि रेजिस्टेन्सहरू. त्यो चाहिँ कसरी खोज्यो?
नन कन्डक्टरको रेजिस्टेन्स
कति रेजिस्ट गर्छ भनेर.
नन कन्डक्टरको त कसरी हुन्छ त रेजिस्टेन्स? इम्पोसिबल हो त. नन कन्डक्टर्स डु नट कन्डक्ट, सो हाउ क्यान यु फाइन्ड द रेजिस्टेन्स?
त्यही त अब यो एक्सपेरिमेन्टले त गर्दा हुँदैन, यो सिम्पल एक्सपेरिमेन्टले.
So I'll have to look into the book and tell you. Okay, this is done. Then we have the next topic, that is Ohm's law. Very simple. So first, like now we are in a standard where we need to understand a little bit more than what we did in class 10. So we need to understand a factor that affects Ohm's law, that is material and physical conditions. So if these two conditions are satisfied, we can state the Ohm's law. So when the material is the same, when you don't change the material and all the physical conditions remain exactly the same, like the temperature, humidity, all those things, if they remain the same, then we can frame the Ohm's law. So according to Ohm's law, it's already stated. Yes, sir? Ideal condition, not ideal conditions, like a fixed temperature. You should not change the temperature. Okay, so you can take a temperature and don't change it, just keep it there. Okay, physical conditions need to remain constant and the material needs to remain constant. So it is just the application of what I told you about the potential difference and current. So the potential difference or potential, whatever you want to call, is directly proportional to the current flowing in a system. So more the potential difference, more the current, less the potential difference, less the current. So this is the Ohm's law. V is directly proportional to I. Is this clear? So if you remove the proportionality sign, just put a constant R and I. So we know this R is the resistance, right? R is the resistance, and this resistance will be independent of voltage and current. You should know that. Resistance may have a formula R equal to V by I, but the resistance will be independent of voltage and current. So resistance is the property of the material, right? So if you vary the voltage and current, there may be fluctuations in the resistance, and that will be solely because of temperature difference. Okay, so when you increase the voltage, there might be a possibility that the resistance of the conductor increases, right? I mean the heat of the conductor increases, it starts heating up, right? Like a heater coil. So when you supply a 220 volt, let's say 10 ampere supply, 50 hertz supply to a heater coil. So what will that cause? That will make the heater coil to heat up, right? So in that case, the resistance might increase. Resistance will increase, right? But in all other cases, voltage and current will not affect the resistance. At least that should be the case, because resistance is the property of the material, right? Resistance is solely on the material, right? And I had told you about the two factors that affects resistance, that is length and area. And if we are considering the same material without affecting any dimensional quantities of the material, like we are not increasing the length, we are not decreasing the length, we are not messing around with the area, right? We are not messing around with the area, then resistance should always be constant. Yes, bhai Bala.
तपाईँले भन्नुभयो रेजिस्टेन्स त भ्यारी गर्छ मटेरियलमा हैन?
केमा?
मटेरियलमा रेजिस्टेन्स भ्यारी गर्छ भन्नुभयो.
गर्छ, यस.
तर नर्मली हामीले V इक्वल्स टु IR आइडियल क्याल्कुलेसन गरिरहेको छौँ नि हैन?
V इक्वल टु IR चाहिँ आइडियल क्याल्कुलेसन, यस, दिस फर आइडियल केस, यस.
हैन अब गरिरहेको छ. भनेपछि अब त्यस्तो पनि भ्यारी गर्दैन. अब कपरमा सिल्भरमा यस्तो खतरा डिफरेन्स छ भन्नु सक्दिनँ म. बोथ अ कन्डक्टर कन्डक्ट गरिरहेको छ, त्यस्तो
अ,
त्यस्तो भिन्नता त हुँदैन भनेको मैले।
भिन्नता अब इट हुन्छ नि
अति
हौ,
चाँडै सिग्निफिकेन्ट अनि अति चाँडै सिग्निफिकेन्ट
होइन हुन्छ नि, अति चाँडै सिग्निफिकेन्ट हुन्छ र त वी हेभ स्ट्यान्डर्ड अफ चुजिङ कपर वायर ओभर सिल्भर वायर्स, राइट हो कि होइन? So we have a tendency of selecting copper wires for wiring rather than silver wires, right? So they may not. We have a tendency of choosing copper over aluminium. Aluminium is cheaper than copper. You should be knowing that, right? Aluminium is cheaper than copper, but still we have a tendency of choosing copper over aluminium. Why is that? Because there is a considerable difference in the resistance. There will be a considerable difference in the ability of the thing to conduct, right? So that there will be a considerable difference. त्यो चाहिँ अब इलेक्ट्रोनिक solely depends on the electronic configuration and the amount of free electrons, right? Because conduction is totally reliable on electrons. If the electron don't want to move, then you cannot do anything. You cannot supply more energy and make the electron. If the electron it doesn't want to move, if electron had life and electron decided not to move, so I don't want to move for you. So from that day onwards, that thing is not conducting. It will not conduct anyway. There is no way you can make that thing conduct. Okay, it is solely based on electron. Yes.
अस्ति त हाम्रो घरको छेउमा पोस्ट झरेको थियो नि त होइन,
Mm.
अन्त त्यो अब त्यहाँ गाउँको दाजुले चाहिँ अब त्यो जोड्नु आयो होइन, अब त्यो तार सार लिएर आयो,
Mm.
अन्त तार चाहिँ एकदमै हल्का थियो, त्यो एल्युमिनियम हो यो नर्मल तारहरू।
Aluminium, yes, correct.
अब सोच यत्रो एउटा रोलै लगायो, अब सोच्नु कत्रो त पाइपको रोल जत्रो हुन्छ नि यस्तो,
Correct, correct,
अब
correct.
त्यसको तारको रोलै लगायो होइन, मैले बोकिदिएँ अब, एकदमै हल्का क्या, अब
Heavy
सोचे
light
जस्तो
हुन्छ नि
भारी हुँदैन।
aluminium. Aluminium एकदम light material. That's why we have
होइन
like
अब त्यो
aluminum
दिन
grade.
त्यो दिनभन्दा पहिला म सोच्थेँ पोस्टहरूले कस्तो भार उठाउनु पर्छ होला तारको भनेर सोचेको त,
होइन नि,
तारको
अब
त भारै हुँदैन रहेछ।
होइन नि, एल्युमिनियम वायर्सहरू बेसी युज हुँदैन नि त। एल्युमिनियम वायर चाहिँ कस्तो केसमा युज हुन्छ भने जब हेडलङ वायर्सहरू हुन्छ नि, टाउको माथि कुद्ने वायर्स, अनि जुन जुन अहिले अहिले बनाएको मोडर्न पोस्टहरू हुन्छ नि, स्टिलको पोस्ट, सो स्टिलको पोस्टहरूमा चाहिँ एल्युमिनियम वायर्स हुन्छ। जुन पुरानो पोस्टहरू हुन्छ, जुन सिक्किममा सबसे बेसी प्रेभलेन्ट छ, राइट? सो पुरानो पोस्टहरू त्यसमा सबै कपरै युज हुन्छ, कपर वायरै हुन्छ, ब्रेडेड
कपर नै
कपर
हुन्छ
वायरै
क्या।
हुन्छ। यस एभ्रीमा कपर हुन्छ। एल्युमिनियम इज भेरी रेयर, इट इज नट युज। एल्युमिनियम चाहिँ कहिले युज हुन्छ भने चाहिँ जब पावर स्टेसन छेउमा छ। सो इफ यु हेभ अ पावर स्टेसन भेरी क्लोज टु यर हाउस, सो अगर एउटा एउटा ट्रान्सफर्मर छेउमा छ अरे होइन, सो त्यो ट्रान्सफर्मरबाट सिधा एल्युमिनियम वायर ल्याउँछ, किनभने त्यसमा चाहिँ रेजिस्टेन्स कम्ती हुन्छ, राइट? एन्ड हिट लस कम्ती हुन्छ। मतलब हिट लस इट डजन्ट म्याटर, किनभने छेउमा छ नि त, राइट? सो कपर मेनली वाइ डु युज कपर, सो द्याट लङ डिस्टेन्स ट्राभलमा हाम्रो हिट लस कम्ती होस् भनेर, राइट? नाउ सिन्स द पावर स्टेसन इज भेरी क्लोज टु यु क्यान युज एल्युमिनियम, इट्स चिपर, राइट? इट इज चिपर एन्ड त्यसले हिट लस त हुन्छ, तर सिन्स द डिस्टेन्स बिट्विन द पावर स्टेसन एन्ड योर हाउस इज भेरी लाइक सर्ट, यु क्यान युज एल्युमिनियम। त्यसरी हो नि त।
लङ डिस्टेन्सको लागि त ठुलो ठुलो टावरमा
एभ्री टाइम
कपर
कपर,
हुन्छ नि,
कपरै हो
कपर
सबै, एकदम कपर हो
भनेपछि
सबै।
पार्किङसँग आउँदाखेरि कपर नै हुन्छ, पार्किङदेखि यो छुट्टिन्छ नि दाम लाग्छ अब यहाँनिर
यस, त्यहाँदेखि
तल
चाहिँ
पार्किङ
एल्युमिनियम हुन्छ,
त्यहाँदेखि चाहिँ कपर आउँछ, त्यही
त्यहाँदेखि
कपर
चाहिँ
एल्युमिनियम हुन्छ।
एल्युमिनियम आउँछ हौ। यस, जब लामो डिस्टेन्स ट्राभल हुन्छ कपरै युज हुन्छ, किनभने एसी इज मोस्टली सुटेड फर कपर ओन्ली। सो कपरमा एसी सबसे एफिसियन्ट हुन्छ। सो सो युज कपर ओन्ली। सो एल्युमिनियम चाहिँ जब त्यस्तो केसमा युज हुन्छ जुनमा चाहिँ अब जुन एकदम कस्ट इफेक्टिभ हुन्छ नि एल्युमिनियम, इट्स भेरी चिप नि, इट्स भेरी चिप एल्युमिनियम, इट्स भेरी लाइट एज वेल। सो अगर कुनै चिजको लाइफ बढाउनु छ, कुनै अब टावर भर्खर इस्टाब्लिस भएको भिलेजमा अब कनेक्सन दिँदैछ भने कपर वायर युज गर्दैन नि। फर्स्ट दे ट्राइड विथ एल्युमिनियम, कतिको फाइदा हुन्छ, कतिको युनिट उठ्दैछ र कतिको रेभेन्यू बन्दैछ। सो इज द्याट रेभेन्यू इनफ टु सस्टेन द कन्टिन्युस सप्लाई अफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी टु द्याट रिजन? सो अगर एउटा बस्ती भर्खर सेटल हुँदैछ होइन, एन्ड द्याट विलेज गेट्स इट्स फर्स्ट इलेक्ट्रिकल कनेक्सन, सो इलेक्ट्रिकल कनेक्सन विल नट बी कपर इन द्याट विलेज, एक्सक्युज मी, इल बी फ्रम एल्युमिनियम। एल्युमिनियम वायर्सले कन्डक्ट गर्छ, त्यहाँ एल्युमिनियम वायर्सकै हुन्छ सिस्टम। घरभित्र कपर हुन्छ तर बाहिर एल्युमिनियमै हुन्छ। एन्ड इफ इट इज एबल टु सस्टेन द अमाउन्ट अफ इलेक्ट्रिक कन्जम्सन कति हुँदैछ, र अगर त्यसले अलिकति प्रफिट हुँदैछ भने त्यो प्रफिटले कपरमा कन्भर्ट गर्छ तिनीहरूलाई। So that is that's what happens there. Okay.
त्यो त हुनुपर्ने थियो, त्यो त हुँदैन अब।
कति ठाउँमा हुन्छ, कति ठाउँमा हुँदैन। यिनीहरू इट्स नट फिक्स्ड एट अल। So it happens sometimes, it doesn't happen sometimes, it depends. Okay, so this is done. So now we'll talk about drift velocity. drift velocity and current in a cylindrical conductor. So what is drift velocity? So what happens is, so you need to understand this very clearly. So electrons, when they are moving from the negative terminal to the positive terminal, so the positive terminal will attract the electron and the negative terminal will push the electron. Now the movement of electron is not a smooth movement, right? It will not move in a straight path without any obstruction. There will be a lot of obstruction in its way. It'll collide with an atom, will collide with another free electron or something like that. It happens all the time. So now the movement of electron is also not smooth. It'll not gain a constant velocity or it'll not move at a constant velocity. It'll accelerate at short bursts of velocity, right? So it'll move at a particular velocity here and it'll collide. Then it'll just like completely stop again. Then again it'll move at a particular velocity. Then it'll again collide with something. Then again it'll completely stop. Again it'll go up. It'll move on with some velocity. Again it'll collide with something. Completely stop. So this short bursts of velocity that happens in an electron when it's moving towards the positive terminal is known as the drift velocity. Okay, so drift velocity is the short burst of velocity that the electron is subjected when flowing inside a conductor, right? When the conductor is subjected to a potential negative and a positive side of the battery. So that velocity is known as the drift velocity. So after every drift velocity, the electron has to stop completely or partially stop because of the collision. So it'll collide, it'll partially stop, it'll again drift at a particular velocity towards the positive terminal. Then again, it'll collide with something else, it'll stop completely or it'll lose some of its velocity. Again, it'll drift along at some velocity. So that velocity is known as the drift velocity. The amount of velocity that the electron is subjected when it moves through the conductor after successive collisions is known as the drift velocity. It's very simple. Okay,
Yeah.
so yes, bhai.
drift velocity resistance produce गर्छ
गर्दैन ड्रिफ्ट भेलोसिटीले गर्दैन कोलिसनले गर्छ
that collision नै गर्छ भनेको
collision will cause the electrical resistance inside a conductor. Drift velocity will not. Drift velocity will actually not cause resistance. Just drift velocity is actually trying to negate the resistance. So if your drift velocity is for a longer time, your resistance will considerably decrease, right? So if the electron is allowed to move for a longer time without any obstruction or collision, which means its drift velocity is increasing or staying constant over a long period of time, then the resistance offered by the conductor will decrease, right? So drift velocity actually favors resistance, and the collision between the atoms and the electrons inside the conductor will not favor the
question
yes.
मैले एउटा भ्याक्युम ट्युबमा गरेँ होइन अन्त एकदमै हाई भोल्टेज एकपट्टि टर्मिनल थियो अरे चाहिँ 10,000 भोल्टेज भनौँ न भ्याक्युम थियो त्यहाँ बिचमा रेजिस्टेन्स हुँदैन है भनेपछि
कहाँ बिचमा भाइ
त्यो अब त्यो स्पेसमा जस्तै नेगेटिभ
So where are you applying the potential? So is there a conductor inside vacuum?
No, nothing. त्यहाँ उयो छ अब के भन्नु एकदम आयनाइज भनिदिउँ न
Okay, ionized gas छ भने त it will be zero resistance नै.
Zero है.
So it will practically be zero. There might be some resistance. Air particles पनि collide हुन्छ. Air particles may collide with one another, right? Because when
electron repel पनि गर्ला.
electron repel पनि हुन्छ अनि air atoms सँग collide गर्छ. Air is not devoid of atoms, right? You have air with hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, all those things. But if it is a vacuum चाहिँ ionize गर्न सक्दैन. You can't ionize vacuum. So you can't say there is a vacuum.
You can say high potential theory हैन. अनि इलेक्ट्रोन त तान्छ नि त उताबाट पोइन्टबाट.
Electron has to have a medium to move, right? Electron can't like just go in a vacuum and just move. So we don't see thunder and lightning outside space, right? As soon as we cross our atmosphere, we don't see thunder and lightning and all those things.
अनि त्यो एक्सपेरिमेन्ट गर्थ्यो नि यहाँ चाहिँ तर त्यो प्रोटोन र इलेक्ट्रोन डिफ्रेन्ट इलेक्ट्रोन भनेको आफ्नो एन्टिटी हो इलेक्ट्रोन भनेर एउटा पार्टिकल छ द्याट क्यान एक्जिस्ट उयो पनि के भने एउटा हामी पढ्छ नि त्यो बोर्ड्स मोडलहरुमा क्लास 11 मा.
You can assume that किनभने there is a thing called Tesla coil and Tesla coil जब vacuum मा राख्यो भने we can see the sparks, we can see the arcs through the Tesla coil. So that may be possible, but तर अब उयो यस्तो हुनु पर्यो कि the electron should be highly energized so that it can consider that vacuum space to be ionized region and a region of conduction. Okay, so it should be highly energized like in a Tesla coil. So Tesla coil
त्यो सिचुएसन भनेको त्यो मटेरियलै छैन रेजिस्टेन्सै हुँदैन भनेको नि त एक प्रकारले
मेटेरियल हुँदैन रेजिस्टेन्स हुँदैन त आई डोन्ट नो द्याट हाउ मच इज द्याट त्यो डेफिनेसन चाहिँ कति करेक्ट हो थाहा छैन कि तर देयर इज अ थिङ या दिस थिङ नट एउटा भ्याक्युममा कहाँ छ टेस्ला कोइल इन भ्याक्युम
अनि अझ त यो टेस्ला पनि एक्सट्रिमली हाई भोल्टेजको कारणले त यहाँ गएको उतादेखि यता
इट इज लाइक एक्सट्रिमली हाई नि नभए त यु कान्ट कल एनिथिङ अ टेस्ला कोइल इफ देयर इज नो
अनि
एक्सट्रिम
यहाँ त
भोल्टेज
एयरसम्म यही एक्सपेरिमेन्ट भ्याक्युममा पर्फर्म गऱ्यो भने रेजिस्टेन्स कति हुन्छ भनेको नि
No, I have seen there is a experiment that was done by this के अरे Electroboom guy, okay? So you know this channel, right? Electroboom.
त्यो पगलाको मान्छे
Electroboom. So he has done this experiment, Tesla coil in vacuum. So there is a video. Maybe I'll put the link in the description. So there is a very interesting video where he carried out the musical Tesla coil. So there is a Tesla coil, and above the Tesla coil, he has placed a piece of wire, and it's facing two sides. The wire one end of the wire is facing to like one this side, and the other one is facing this side. So now the wire keeps on rotating because the electrons are constantly pushed through the ends of the wire. So since the area of the ends of the wire is small, the electrons can push through these areas. It's like a nozzle kind of thing, right? Like at a rocket nozzle. So because of that, the thing is always moving. The wire that is kept above the Tesla coil inside a vacuum is constantly moving, which basically means that electrons are moving outside the wire, right? So that there is a video. I'll link that. It's a very interesting video. I think
अन्त
that
अब मलाई भएको नि अब यो एयरको मिडियममा पनि रेजिस्टेन्स त कम्ती नै हुन्छ
रेजिस्टेन्स कम्ती
अब
हुँदैन एयरको मिडियममा रेजिस्टेन्स सबसे बेसी हुन्छ
ए
because there are
होइन
no
नि
particles, right? There are no particles in
अँ,
between to carry anything. So air has like one of the highest resistance. That's why it's a dielectric. So when we did
ओके
capacitors, we talked about dielectrics, right? And the most important dielectric and most common is air.
ए
So only it can be ionized only when there are thousands of volts of supply, like for lightning. So lightning takes हामी because it's like thousands of volts, right? So that is why the air is getting ionized, and the voltage, the arc that we see from the lightning is ionizing the air, and we can see it actually. So it is very difficult to ionize air. It's very difficult. Okay, so this is done. So there is one derivation I want to do right now. So drift velocity के relation में. So let's do that, and we'll end the day's class today. So we have a conductor. It is a cylindrical conductor. So we have a cylindrical conductor like this. So there is a cylindrical conductor. This is the negative side of the battery. This is the positive side of the battery. So electrons are getting drifted, right? So let's just consider a segment of the wire as xy, and let the length of this segment be VD. Okay, and let the area of cross section be A. So what will be the volume of the section? What will be the volume of this?
2 pi r
A into VD. A into VD, right?
pi square VD
Yeah, pi r square VD. So volume will be A into VD. So what will be the number of electrons? Number of electrons in volume. So let us assume that n is the number of electrons. So n equal into A into VD. So this is the total number of electrons inside this segment of the wire, right? Now there are lot of electrons that are flowing through the surface, right? So there are a lot of electrons that are flowing through the surface per second. So let us assume the thing to be per second. Let the number of electrons flowing, there will be number of electrons. Let there be n number of electrons flowing through the conductor surface through this segment of wire that we considered in 1 second. So for that we can totally omit t, right? So when I consider t equal to 1, so I don't need to write t in the formula, right? So the total number of electrons flowing through this system in 1 second is basically n into E into A into Vd, right? So I put the charge of electrons here. But since we know that the number of electrons flowing through a conductor at a particular time, that is 1 second, is current, so I equal to n into E into A into Vd.
अन्त तपाईले ई किन लाउनु फेरि त्यहाँनिर
So E is the charge of the electron. So what is the charge of the electron that is flowing through the conductor? So how much electron is
Yeah.
flowing through it? So there is a way of saying this. Where is it? So all these electrons pass through the section X. Now as each electron carries a yes,
Seriously, कति coulomb is flowing through this
exactly, that is the
particular
same thing. So
experiment na?
it is written in the book as now as each electron carries a charge E, the charge flowing per second through area. So amount of charge flowing through X per what is that per second through area A, that is this area, right? Area X is the total number of electrons multiplied by the charge. So this is the total number of electrons flowing through the area, right? X your area bada n times A into V into D is the total number of electrons flowing through the area. Now, what is the total charge flowing through the area? So total charge flowing through the area is the total number of electrons multiplied by the charge of electron, right? So now this is the total number of electrons multiplied by charge of electron is E. So we know that total number of electrons flowing through a conductor per time, that is 1 second, is nothing but current. Current is Q by T, right? So the same thing is happening here. We actually found Q. This one is Q, but it is in respect to T. It is in 1 second. So this is basically this by 1, right? So now this is basically current. So that's why I labeled this as current. I equal to NE A into VD. Clear? Okay, so we'll do the rest tomorrow. So we'll need to do mobility. We'll need to do mobility of electrons, and we have to derive the Ohm's law in terms of this. So we have to derive Ohm's law in terms of this. Yes.
त्यो च्याप्टरको नाम एक्ज्याक्टली के थियो त?
यो च्याप्टरको नाम यो च्याप्टर इज इलेक्ट्रिक current, electric resistance and Ohm's law. So if you have any doubts, let me know, else the class is over.